at the moon and felt like it was looking back at you. Not just watching, but revealing. Because what if the moon isn't just a rock in the sky? What if it's a lens that reflects everything inside you? Your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. Not creating it, just exposing it. And when that light hits, you feel it. Restlessness, tension, intensity. That's not the moon controlling you. That's you being revealed. Because when your energy is eclipsed, you don't disappear. You fragment. Scattered thoughts, unfocused energy, emotion you can't explain. That's the eclipse. Not outside, inside. But then the full moon rises, and everything hidden comes to the surface, amplified, louder, heavier, harder to ignore. And most people react. They lash out, they lose control, they get pulled by the wave. But emotional intelligence, there's something different. It observes, it doesn't run, it doesn't react, it sees. Because the moment you see it, you can control it. So you center yourself, you breathe, you slow down, you come back to you. Because your energy was never out there, it was always here, inside you. So you stop outsourcing it. No validation, no permission, just a source. And when you tap into that, everything changes. Now the energy moves, you create, you build, you express, you flow. Because energy that flows transforms, but the energy that's blocked explodes. So you stay aware of your cycles, your emotions, your patterns. You adjust the lens over and over and over again, until one day you realize something the moon never controls you. It never held your power, it only showed you what was already there. So don't fear the light, don't fear the intensity. That's not weakness, that's exposure, that's true, that's your energy. Trying to break free. So observe it, center it, draw from yourself, and let it flow. Because your power was never missing. It was only eclipsed.
His claws, I've seen it feast. It whispers lies, it feeds on fear. But I stand strong, the path is clear. The shadows crawl, the weak may fall. Deception spreads to choke us all. lies, it feeds on fear, but I stand strong, the path is clear. The shadows crawl, the weak may fall, deception spreads to choke us all. I won't be fooled, I won't comply, I raise my voice, I will not die. Rise from the ashes, break every chain. Truth is our weapon, fury and flame. The world may tremble, the night may scream, but we are stronger than what we've seen. I've been the base, I face the night, now stands with me to claim the fight. No more lies, no more deceit. We rise as one, and our hearts won't retreat.
It's too late to try to contain it. A generation fueled by creation. Well, all right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Let me know how my sound is. I'm wondering if I can just stand up straight and still be heard. Let me know. Let me know. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth. We got a great deep program for you tonight. And guess what? Guess what? Late night in the Heartland is back. It's back. This is what we were doing when we were pushing 100,000 subscribers. This is what made us famous. Thank you, Kylie. This is what made us famous, baby. Thank you, Deborah. So we're back. We're going to roll with it. Thank you, Jay Bing. We're going to do what we do best. After all, I became well known by being on Coast to Coast AM late night as a regular guest. And I got to call her tomorrow, try to remind me somebody. But we're back, late night in the Heartland. We are here with open minds and open lines. As soon as we get through the clips, we'll be back with open lines. I did not cut my hair, but it's got to the awkward phase where it sticks straight out on the sides. So I had to go into my drawer and get some hair product, if you know what I'm talking about. Sorry, I haven't been attentive to the chat tonight. I've been getting things ready for the comeback, baby, but we're back and we're better than ever. Tonight on Late Night in the Heartland, a great deep program. We got a triple header for you. What does that mean? Well, we're going to talk about the elevator game. You know, I'm on top of a lot of things, but I never heard of the elevator game. And it is pretty freaking interesting. So we're going to talk about the elevator game. I am standing up and commanding the ship. We're going to talk about the elevator game. Is it an innocent game? Is it an occult ritual? And oh, by the way, here it is. Assault on Aquarius. Some of you didn't know if it was real or not. Over 200 pages. It's available at thebookpatch.com. All you have to do is put in Assault on Aquarius or put my name. You can get it. It's available to you right now. And if you want an autographed one, or if you want me to say something to you, just send me an email. So that's it. Assault on Aquarius, Assault on Camelot, which deals with the Kennedy assassination and World War II. That is coming out within the next week or two. It's already complete. This deals with the assault on human consciousness that was the 1960s. Elvis Presley, Paul McCartney, the Beatles, Charles Manson. It's a good one. It's a keeper. You might want to get this. You might want to get that. Makes a great gift as well. We'll also talk about, I think the elevator game's last. We'll also talk about Eyes Wide Sunday. This came to me while I was sitting in the cold plunge. We know about Eyes Wide Shut, but do you know about Eyes Wide Sunday? I don't think you do, but you will when tonight is over. It's going to be pretty spectacular. And we've got passive conversion. Cynthia and I watched this TV show. We've been watching it. I don't know if we can keep watching it. It's kind of going woke on us, but it's called Evil. And I think it's on Paramount or it's on Prime. That's all we watch. So we're going to talk about passive conversion, the technology doing the preaching. What is the church doing? So that's what we've got teed up for you tonight. We also will have the lines open as soon as we get through the clips. I've got the rods. If you have rod questions that you want to ask, just put the rods questions in all caps in the chat and we will get you. And by the way, you can buy that book from anywhere on the planet. It doesn't have to be just in the USA. The rods are just for the USA. If you want to get rods, you can go to realgospeltruth.org, realgospeltruth.org. You can order them there, or you can just say, send me an email. Say, hey, Jeff, I need me some rods. We've also got the nanosoma. Gets everything out of you. It's not supposed to be in you. And we've also got the Focus Life Force Energy. We've got the Healthy Wave mats. We've got the relaxed saunas. All these things I use, and all these things will make a big difference in your life. So if you want some rods, let me know. If you have a rod question, all caps in the chat, and I will bust out the rods just for you. Well, let's go ahead and get this party started. I think we're going to go to a fun little clip first. Let's see. It ain't easy being a cop.
Damn! Damn! Round and round he goes. Where's he going now? Oh my god.
I guess it ain't easy being a cop. We don't always like everything about the cops, but there are some good ones left, and they got a tough job.
The name of the Egyptian sun god, which we've shown you before, but the sun god name is Amen. Amen Ra. Okay, that was the name of the Egyptian sun god. That's surprising to a lot of folks who, get into prayer all the time and they're always using the word Amen at the end of their prayers. Well, that's the name of the Egyptian sun god, Amen. Now, in Revelation 3:14, let me mark that for you. Revelation 3:14, Jesus Christ calls himself the Amen. That means the sun god. Now that is interesting. See, we can't change that. We can't say, well, it didn't happen, because it did. Revelation 3:14, Jesus calls himself the Amen, and the Amen is the name of the Egyptian sun god, or the Egyptian god of light. Now, here then, if we identify Jesus with the sun, let me show you something else that's interesting. Come on back here, Frank. In Matthew 9:15, Jesus is referred to as the bridegroom. He's referred to as the bridegroom. So now let's go back here. We have three things that we're looking at. First of all, Jesus is called the bridegroom, and he calls himself Amen, which is the Egyptian sun god. He refers to himself as the light of the world, the Son of God. And I'll come back and I want to show you something very interesting in Psalm 19, why we have to really look very carefully at the zodiac. In Psalm 19 verse 4, it says, in them, meaning the heavens, the stars, he has set a tabernacle for the sun, S-U-N. Now listen to this next one, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. So here Jesus identifies himself as the Amen, which is the Egyptian sun god. He calls himself the bridegroom, which is in Matthew 25:1 and Matthew 9:15. And here in Psalm 19:4, it says that the sun, in that which comes through the zodiac, comes out of the tabernacle as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. So there then we have to look at the possibility, do we have the continuation of the ancient sun worship? When I got into this and saw Jesus calls himself the Amen, I said, wow. But that would mean that they brought the sun god out of Egypt and we should look at the sun god of Egypt. I said, well, that doesn't make any sense, until I saw in Matthew 2:15, it said that Mary and Joseph took the child Jesus to Egypt so as to fulfill the prophecy, out of Egypt have I called my son. So now again then, we see that it's all, at least according to the Bible, written in the stars and in the planets, and something that we've really got to look at.
Wow, that's something very interesting. And again, I have to ask my flat earth friends, is this why they want you to think that space is fake and GAY, fake and Jose? Because as Jameis says, boom, there it is. Jackie has a rod question. She says, and I've asked this and thought this many times, and I'm not going to be buried in the ground. Is putting bodies in the ground, keeping them tied to this world? Well, let me show you how this works. Is Jeff wearing a yellow jacket tonight? No, he's not. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Somebody send me a good one, I'll wear it. Is Jeff wearing a blue shirt tonight? Yes, he is. So let's go ahead and ask this question. Is putting bodies in the ground, keeping them tied to this world? And the rods say, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Great question, Jackie. And boom, there you go.
Go into the silence. Go and sit down quietly by yourself for 30 to 60 minutes. 30 to 60 minutes. Most people in our society have never sat quietly for 30 to 60 minutes in their entire lives. Yet I will tell you this method works 100% of the time. That any problem that you have, any difficulty, any challenge, any goal that you want to accomplish, if you'll go into the silence and sit quietly and then listen to the still small voice within. The still small voice within. This is the key. You will find that at a certain point, probably at about 25 to 30 minutes, your mind will go completely clear. And then a flow of ideas will start to flow into your mind. You'll feel energy welling up inside you. And at a precise moment, as you sit there in complete silence, your mind will go clear and wham! Exactly the answer you need will come at exactly the right time.
Folks, this is great realization for some of you. Turn off the phone, take out the earbuds, turn off the TV, turn off the radio, and just listen. How can you hear from the divine when you're hearing from Jay-Z and Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings and all the rest? I won't get up on my soapbox on that. You know I can, but just something for you to think about. I'm trying to help a brother and a sister out in here. Listen to Frank Zappa.
I'll make a statement about national defense.
Yeah.
The biggest threat to America today is not communism. It's moving America toward a fascist theocracy. And everything that's happened during the Reagan administration is steering us right down that pipe.
Oh, Mr. Zappa, you're not really serious if you're saying we're going toward a fascist theocracy.
That's right, we are. When you have a government that prefers a certain moral code derived from a certain religion, and that moral code turns into legislation to suit one certain religious point of view, and if that code happens to be very, very right-wing, almost toward Attila the Hun...
Well, then you are an anarchist. Every form of civil government is based on some kind of morality, Frank.
Morality in terms of behavior, not in terms of theology.
That's a deep one, because you know what Frank Zappa is saying. He's smart enough not to say it out loud like I do. He's talking about the Abrahamic fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix. And it started back with Reagan, and now we're full up to here in it with Donald Trump. And anytime you start mixing dominant politics with a certain dominant religion, if you'll remember, that's why our forefathers took on the most perilous voyage of the day to leave in England, which was doing that, and to come to America, which was not doing that. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just trying to encourage you to think. And we are winning and they are scared. So our work becomes more important than ever. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Been having the experience of not enough money. You've been observing it. You've been talking about it. You've been worrying about it. And you are now, from your awareness of not having enough money, asking for more money. You are not a vibrational match to more money. You're a vibrational match to not enough money. And you can tell which end of the stick you are most a vibrational match to by the way you feel when you think about money. So when you think about money, if it makes you feel free and it makes you feel exhilarated and it makes you feel adventurous, then you're on the vibrational end of the stick that matches dollars flowing to you. That's why rich people get richer. They feel prosperous. They feel abundant. They feel well-being. And so they're not holding money away from them. And that's why people who don't have enough money so often don't allow more money into their experience. So the key to moving up the stick, so to speak, is to find a way to feel more prosperous, to stand where you are because you can't do anything other than that, but try to play down the not enough money while you play up how well things are going. You must find the essence of feeling more prosperous before you open the door to prosperity. You can't buck the current. You can't feel poor and allow more money into your experience. You have to find a way to shift the way you feel. It's a mental thing.
So many people just roll their eyes when they hear that. That's what can I do with that? Pretend and imagine.
Try it and see what happens. Show yourself that with a little bit of effort, you can shift your vibration. The journey from despair over not enough money to a feeling of hopefulness that there might be more money is something that can be achieved with a willingness to try in a matter of minutes. And if you take the time to just leave behind your pessimism and cynicism and despair and find just a little flicker of hope, and you try to keep it alive just for a few seconds, 68 really is enough for the universe to get a fix on your new vibrational stand.
68 seconds.
68 seconds is all it takes to flicker from despair into hopefulness. Now you have shifted vibrationally enough that now evidence will begin to reveal itself to you. And so it doesn't take much. Roll your eyes if you want to, and we certainly understand why you would. But try just to feel a little more hopeful and maintain it for just a little bit of time, and then watch what begins to happen. We want you to show yourself your power. We want you to remember who you are. We want you to remember that you are the creator of your own experience, and that life is supposed to be good, and that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have, and that life is supposed to be fun. But you have to practice. There is nothing that is extravagant about anything. If you have the ability to imagine it, the universe must deliver it to you. Extravagance implies.
That's some great teaching. And you've heard me say, if you have listened to me for any time at all, that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. And if you're sitting there asking yourself, why am I always broke? Why don't I ever have any money? The universe and your mind will answer those questions. But if you can just simply turn that around, like this lady's saying, and by the way, 68 seconds is a 14, which comes to a 5, by the way. And you can just start asking, how can I get more money? How can I receive more money? I just wrote down something here. How can I use AI to leverage some passive income? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask yourself. But we're living in a Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix, in my opinion, that has us focused on this zero-sum equation. They think that that's just one pie, and if one person gets a bigger slice of pie, another person has to get a smaller slice of pie. That's not true. We live in a dynamic world. It's not zero sum. All we have to do is bake more pie. So try to turn your thinking around, and it only takes 68 seconds. So instead of saying why, and you could go to work, instead of saying, why am I always broke? How do I get more money? Why do I always pick the wrong person? How do I attract the right person? Why am I fat? How can I get to my ideal body weight? These things will change your life. That's why I share them.
You do not want to end up like this guy.
Here's a lesson.
And when you finish watching this video, you're going to understand why you should never violate law number 3. So yo, this dude's name is Balcha. He was an Ethiopian warlord, and he had a problem with this dude. His name is Haile Selassie. Now you see, Balcha thought that he should be running Ethiopia. All the other warlords had actually given up to Haile Selassie, but Balcha wasn't no punk. And plus he had 10,000 soldiers down to ride for him. But you see, his rival Haile Selassie didn't want to have any problems, so he decided to do the diplomatic thing and invite Balcha to a banquet. Now Balcha had a very important decision to make, because if he said no to the invite, it would immediately start a war. He was gonna go, but he wasn't dumb either, because he knew exactly how some of these banquets would go down. So he accepted the invite under one condition. He had to be allowed to bring 600 of his best men to the banquet. While they were there, Balcha kept his head up and his eyes open because he was expecting a trap. But yo, nothing happened. He ended up thinking that Haile Selassie was all bark and no bite. But yo, remember those 10,000 soldiers that Balcha had? Well, they were about 3 miles away and they weren't safe. You see, Selassie's soldiers had pulled up on them and made them an offer that they couldn't refuse. They could either fight a bloody war or they could get rich. Balcha left the banquet thinking everything was all good, but all of his men had abandoned him. Balcha and his remaining 600 men were surrounded and completely outmatched. Haile Selassie executed law number 3 of the 48 laws of power with ruthless precision. Conceal your intentions, because the move that they don't see coming is the one that usually wins.
Boy, there's a deep esoteric lesson there. There's several deep esoteric lessons. And I can't help but think about how Christianity took over our great heathen golden age. And if you know about Christianity, if you've read the book of Revelation, I know most Christians haven't read the Bible cover to cover, but a lot of them have read Revelation. It talks about God, Jesus, doing what? Giving a great banquet and inviting all the people of all the races to come to this great banquet. Kind of like Charlemagne invited all of the great heathen kings to come to a big banquet. Now, when the heathen kings got to the banquet, Charlemagne beheaded them all. And Christians are always worried about getting beheaded, right? You know, the whole mark of the beast thing. But I just can't help but think about Jesus, the Father, giving a big banquet. They want us to come to the banquet. You're invited. The good news is you are invited to the marriage supper of the Lamb, but the bad news is that you're on the menu. But what if he's employing law number 3 of the 48 laws of power? And while he gets all of these heathens, red, yellow, black, white, brown, and red, I think I said red twice, while he gets all of these heathens to the banquet, is he going to go and get the rest of us that didn't show up? Is he going to try to bribe us? And if he can't bribe us, will he do with us like Christianity's always done to people that won't bow their knee to their Savior and try to get him to save you from the sin he gave you? Something to think about. Something to think about.
This gave me goosebumps. Yeah, humans are hackable animals. They can just hack you and change your DNA. People that took the vaccine,
Listen,
they change your DNA. And people need to pray. There's hope because you can pray for that. You can pray and get regeneration. If you don't, when it's time for the mark of the beast, you will be programmed.
Hold on. No, that is dangerous to say.
I'm not lying. Listen to Yuval Noah. Yuval Noah actually says that, and you can go Google it, that COVID was a time when humanity accepted surveillance to go under the skin. You can go Google mRNA vaccine or COVID vaccine and luciferase. Go Google, even the CEO of Moderna, Zach, said that the COVID jab was hacking the software of life and introducing a code. Klaus Schwab, the head of the World Economic Forum, said, in the 4th Industrial Revolution, the Bible calls it the 4th Kingdom. These people call it the 4th Industrial Revolution. They say in the 4th Industrial Revolution, it's not what you do that will change. It is who you are if you take genetic editing. This was actually an interview he did with Charlie Rose. Go pull it up. This is not, it's just that a lot of people don't know all this information is right there. They're not hiding it anymore. They have an agenda by 2030 for everybody to be human 2.0. Elon Musk talks about human beings need to, we need to become merge with machines. That we need to merge with machines in a good way. Because if we don't merge with machines, machines will take over. So he believes that. That is, the Bible says it in Daniel chapter 22. Daniel chapter 2, verse like 43 to about 46, that is going to come a time when iron will mix with clay. They will mingle with the seed of man. Read it.
Wait.
This is bigger than it looks. I really want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments and follow or subscribe for more content.
So, of course, she went the Judeo Christian route because that's what she knows. And I'm beginning to get a little more empathy for people that are in Christianity. There's still some good people in Christianity, even within Christian leadership. And I'm very fortunate to have a good wife. She told me about nicotine, and you can go pull this up. This is why I have these nicotine pouches. Why I've got them in my mouth pretty much constantly, because it's been proven that the nicotine actually destroys the technology, specifically the self-assembling nanobots that were contained within the thing that we probably still shouldn't talk about here on the channel. So if you want to help yourself get rid of specifically the nanobots, and if you want to get rid of everything else that's not supposed to be in you, go get yourself at realgospeltruth.org a supply of nanosoma. This stuff works, and they're just getting started. And you know, I shouldn't say this, but I have this sneaking feeling that they've advanced this technology now to where we don't have to go and get a shot in order for it to be implemented, that it can probably be energetically transferred into our bodies. So if you want to get these cheap, send me an email. They won't let me be a affiliate, but I can get you a great $30 discount and I get some free stuff. So take a breath, get some nanosoma, send me an email, get some good cheap nicotine pouches and get yourself hooked up and taken care of. I really am trying to help you.
Wow, be careful. The devil loves jewelry. Watch this.
I had a guy that had a sickness. He had a cross that he took out of his from his grandmother who died. Okay. And had a tumor right after she died. And he started getting sick with a tumor. Ended up praying, rebuking, casting the demon out. But the first thing I said before he did, I said, you know what? You're going to need to take that cross off. It was like a Catholic, whatever, cross of the beads or whatever. And he was like, why? And I was like, just take that off for me. And he was like, okay. So he takes it off and he holds it in his hand. And I'm like, you need to set that down on the table. And he was like, okay, why? And I was like, we're going to deal with that in a minute. And we set it down. And then I hear in the spirit, his grandmother gave it to us. And I'm like, the heck was that? And I was like, and we're probably going to smash that. And he's like, and I was like, and I know your grandma probably gave it to you, right? And he was like, what the? He's like, how did you know that? He's like, totally freaked out. He's like, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna tell you right now, bro, demons are in that necklace. And we end up praying. The dude ends up getting healed. And at the end of it, I'm like, you ready to smash that necklace? And we find out, I'm like, where did that necklace come from? He goes, I took it off my grandmother out of her hands when she died in the hospital after he was in there with her. The spirits that killed his grandmother went into that cross necklace that he put on his neck, and the spirit of death started killing him right after they killed her. And they were about to kill him. And we end up praying the demons off and crushing the necklace afterwards. But like, demons don't play fair. They love jewelry. They don't care.
Oh, he's so close, but yet still so far. You know, we got people coming out of this Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood, magic, mind control matrix. We got to give him a little bit of grace. He's learning. It's baby steps. He's coming our way. And he's right. And I mean, you don't want to get terrified, but there are things that are called familiars, that energetic entities that don't have your best wishes in mind, they can attach themselves to. And that becomes an aperture or an opening where they can attach on that thing and remain in your environment. So esoteric sanitation is very, very important. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to help you. So let me help out.
When he revealed who actually said this, they all were shocked, one by one.
Donald Trump announced this past week that he would be urging ICE and other administration authorities to seek out people living here illegally that have broken the law, to deport them. I have a quote for you here that's been making the rounds on social media about the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. "We are a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our laws, and I believe they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%, and we're going to keep focusing on threats to our security." What's your thought on that quote and that policy in general?
I think that policy comes from a place of like white American nationalism. Donald Trump has kind of like embraced this rhetoric of like racism and xenophobia that is not beneficial to our country at all.
I don't think that quote really stands true.
This administration has totally not done anything moral.
This is really awful.
Amnesty does not necessarily mean that we're losing border security. I think that Trump feels that way.
I think that's a bad decision because like the United States should be open to like immigrants. They call it land with the free for a reason.
Crimes do not nullify your humanity, and people are coming here in search of opportunity. I'm going to show you the person that said that quote. Undocumented workers. Is that surprising?
Yeah, a little bit.
Why is that surprising?
I thought it was the Trump administration that said something like that.
Yeah, it's quite surprising. I thought it was from Trump.
I didn't expect it to be Obama either.
Why did you not expect it to be Obama?
Because I guess, I don't know, like it never occurred to me that it could be Obama.
Is that surprising that it's a quote from President Obama? Yeah, that was surprising for sure. Do you think it's still a practice of, I expected that quote to come from Trump?
I mean, it just shows the hypocrisy in politics. So one person can say something 5 years ago, and next thing you know, it doesn't apply to them anymore, and that they can now be the morality police for whoever is in charge now.
If you agree with this kid, subscribe.
Pretty interesting, right? Are you still believing the left-right thing? Are you still going to go out there and vote harder? We're in Stalin territory now. Stalin territory now. And Stalin said it doesn't matter who votes. It matters who counts the votes. M. Tannen. Let's start maybe turning that around. Don't be so pessimistic. I feel your pain, but we gotta get our chins up, and sometimes we need a checkup from the neck up.
Have you ever seen this
I don't
one?
think so. Imagine being so stupid that somebody's out there printing money, and on the counter, you're working for it, and then you're getting taxed because they need your taxes in order to run the government when they could just print it. It makes no sense whatsoever. So stop working for money. Stop working for a paycheck. Start working towards a life that instills freedom and instills your ability to produce money without you having to work. That may sound like insane for 99% of people. So where do you start? You start by not spending, right? You start by not being a consumer, but being a producer. So most people are consumers. That's why they're always in the rat race. If you're producing, you're always being able to generate income, but you don't want to be producing just with your time. You want to be producing with systems. Now you have AI, now you have automation, now you have software. Dude, you can literally be making money while you sleep. And if you think that's not real, look at all the digital companies that are running. They're making money while the owners are sleeping.
There is so much opportunity out here. And I know there's this whole thing on the internet now where it's all the boomers' fault. And by the way, I'm not a boomer. I'm on the verge. I'm not quite a boomer, and there's nothing wrong with the bourbon and a cigar. But there's still so much opportunity. There's still so much opportunity. You just have to start asking the right questions again. Not, why is this so bad? And how come I hate everybody and hate everything? But what can I do? Like I literally just wrote it down after watching that clip today. How can I use AI to create a flow of passive wealth? I wrote it down. It's right there. Now you saw all my notes, and I'm a list keeper because of Cynthia and Chase Hughes, and it's really helped me. Don't give up hope. Keep hope alive because there's still a lot that we can do. It just may not be as easy as it used to be.
I made a video the other day where he was in a see-through shirt, but in the background there was a guy without a head.
What? Yeah, there it is. If you watch the whole video, you'll see him walking around without it. You know, you'll see him walking around. So it's not like it's just a mannequin. It's literally a dude walking around in the background without a head. I mean, obviously, that's a huge mistake. I think they're trying to hide the identity of whoever's behind them there, personally. But I don't know for sure. That's like, if I was just being logical, I'd say, well, they don't want anybody to know who that dude is back there.
Pretty interesting, right? Maybe it's AI, maybe it's cropped. But it does give us the idea that we need to look a little deeper and we start noticing. And some people probably ask me, Jeff, why do you and Cynthia still watch television? Cynthia likes to unwind, but she also has a very sharp mind like mine. And I watch it to get information. I want to see what my enemy's planning. And so many times through the media, you can find out what your enemy's planning. And you can also, I'm a writer. I just finished Assault on Aquarius. I just finished Assault on Camelot, which is 516 pages. And now I'm 100 pages into Apostle Paul Antichrist, New Blood, which is a sequel to my first book. And when you're a writer, when you're a creator, and we're all creative, you pull ideas out of the ether. And many times within these shows, and we're very selective with what we watch, but many times within the shows like Supernatural, like this show Evil we're watching, even like House MD, I'm House MDiv, the master of divinity. I'm diagnosing, I'm questioning, I'm investigating, I'm connecting, because everybody lies and the truth is rarely on the surface. You can pick out both the kosher disclosure that the media is putting out, and you can also get some great ideas that the cabal didn't want to get out, but people that are writing and creating are pulling it out of the ether. So there's some interesting stuff that you can learn. And Jamar says we need to be unified, not divided. And I agree with that so much. I mean, we're not alone. That's why I think it's a huge mistake to say, if you're white, you're right. And if you're not white, you're bad. Because there are some trashy ass white people. There's a reason that the term white trash exists. Some say I resemble that remark. I don't know. But there are bad white people. There's no doubt about it. I mean, look at little scrawny forearmed, can't open pickle jar Andrew Wilson saying he'll shoot us in the back, given a second. He's white, but he wants to lure us into the banquet and then kill us. And I have met so many times in my life, and I continue to meet him. I'm going to be on a podcast, and I'm going to be a podcast in September with a guy who happens to be black. He's a paranormal guy. I'm really looking forward to it. There's great black people out there. There's great yellow people out there. There's great brown people out there. There's great, who did I leave out? We've got to learn that there are people outside of our race, whatever your race is, that are just as fed up with this fear and guilt, Judeo-Christian mind control matrix that we're in as we are. And I'd much rather stand shoulder to shoulder with a great heathen cousin. I have my kin, my folk, but they're kin because they are related to us in opposition to our enemy. And if we could just each individually optimize our races and give other people the space to optimize their race, then an optimized human race can collectively march against our enemies, and they will do what they've always done. They're cowards. They will run. So don't draw a line around anybody that doesn't happen to have the same skin tone that you do. And I know it goes deeper than that, but we need help. And we need help from the right people. Just a thought that I thought I would share with you. You don't have to agree with me, but I am just trying to help you out.
You've seen many things happen, change in your day, Mr. King?
Oh, yes, yes. We live in a world of change. The trees are just the same as they were when I was a boy, only larger. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But when I was a boy, we didn't have the telegraph, and we didn't have the telephone, of course, nor the electric lights, nor any of these other things which have come up to bother us and help us. The good old days were pretty good, Don't you boys think that you're living in just the best time in the world's history? It's first rate, but it's no better than our fathers had, and I don't believe it's very much better than our grandchildren. Yes, that Hudson over there. Nice little city. Why, I remember very well looking out of my window, I would see anywhere from 10 to 20, hardly ever less than 10 sailing vessels on the river. Now I don't see more than one in 3 months. Very few steamboats. Everybody went to New York then if they wanted to go in Duluth style. Why, they take a steamboat. If they want to go cheap, they go on one of our river sloops.
You know, I know everybody says that it was better when they were young. And LA Goforth, nice to see you. I know everybody thinks it was better when they were young. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I'm convinced, having grown up in the 60s, 70s, and I guess kind of in the 80s, the world was better then. It really was. And we know that we had a great golden age way back in the day. So it was better. And the fact that it was better reminds me that we can make it better again. This is why I always say the world is going to be better than it's ever been sooner than even we, and me, the biggest optimist on 2 feet, can even imagine, because we're waking up and realizing who we are. And Late Night in the Heartland is part of that.
Cells get together, take on one form, deform, reform. Makes no difference, it's all the same. One is their unit of measure, but it's not. All social systems we put into place are a mere sketch. 1 + 1 = 2, that's all we've learned. But 1 + 1 has never equaled 2. There are in fact no numbers and no letters. We've codified our existence to bring it down to human size, to make it comprehensible. We've created a scale so that we can forget its unfathomable scale.
What guns all that?
Film a car speeding down a road. Speed up the image infinitely, and the car disappears. So what proof do we have of its existence? Time gives legitimacy to its existence. Time is the only true unit of measure. It gives proof to the existence of matter. Without time, we don't exist.
Did you get it? Did you see it this time? Lucy says that cells come together to form one thing, then break apart to form another. What she's describing isn't just biology, it's the actual dance of creation itself. Everything in the universe is constantly forming and deforming, reshaping itself through energy. This whole thing's an energy game. But then she says something truly profound. Time gives us the illusion of existence. Without time, there's no before, no after, no growth, no decay, just infinite movement. To make sense of that infinity, humanity invented measurements, seconds, minutes, years, not to understand time, but to contain it, because pure timelessness itself unfathomable to the human mind. So when Lucy says we've created a scale to grasp the incomprehensible, she really is pointing at this. We don't live in time, we actually live through time. And the moment you realize that, you stop chasing control and you start aligning with the flow of creation itself. So in order to change the game, again, you have to adapt the player. But in order to adapt the player, a breakthrough must occur. Follow if you want more breakdowns like this, movie scenes that actually teach higher levels of consciousness. And remember, live life inspired.
That's great stuff. And I have to remind you that it was the Jesus character himself who said, I am the Alpha, I am the Omega, I am the beginning, I am the end. Time is a construct, in my opinion, you might want to think about this, of the fear and guilt, Judeo-Christian, mind control, blood magic matrix. And it gets us to think in terms of past and how many of us are haunted by our past. It gets us to think in terms of the future. How many of us are afraid of the future? And if you're always worried about the past and you're always worried about the future, you never take the time to live in the now. I would suggest that you consider stepping out of time, because it is not our world. Our world is the natural world, the world of seasons, the world of cycles. And we've been conned into this Judeo-Christian matrix of time. And what they really don't want us to know is They say we're running out of time. Be very afraid. The end times are coming. We're running out of time. They've been saying it since the Bible was written. But what they don't want us to know is the deep secret, which was also revealed in a movie called Fallen. The time is on our side. Yes, it is. When you get that, your life will change. I don't know if I have another slide or not, but let's see. I don't. It's time to jump into the D program. Are you ready? This comes from Colleen. And this is very, very, very interesting because, the U.S. government has admitted to losing the actual Apollo 11 moon footage. They said they recorded over it. Now, can you really believe that they would have recorded over that? But don't worry, because even though NASA says that they recorded over the actual moon footage, don't worry. Even though they lost for it and couldn't find it because they were accidentally wiped, don't worry, because CBS has the complete footage. Who runs CBS again? Who runs the media? So now don't worry, because they have figured it out. There's nothing to worry about. They went back to CBS and they got the footage from CBS, and they've been able to complete
You ever
a
seen
visual
this
record.
giant serpent
Watch
down at
this
the bottom
nonsense.
of South America? See here, this big old head, even with an eye, and when you zoom in even closer, there's nose holes. There's a giant petrified serpent there. Now, let me show you something else. A Bible verse, in fact, Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. It's God talking to the devil about the coming Messiah that will crush his head. Now let me show you something that just might blow your mind.
This is so ridiculous.
Across the land appears the body of Jesus Christ, his crown in the north, his face across Canada, his midsection around Mexico and the Gulf, and his feet extending into South America and Patagonia. But the image is only the first layer. The crown of thorns rests over Quebec, Labrador, and Newfoundland, a region that includes the Torngat Mountains, historically rendered on some maps with the older spelling Thorngat. Prince Edward Island forms his closed eye. And even there, the language of sight appears. The island contains Bird's Eye Drive, while the famous painting to Prince Edward Island centers on a woman looking through binoculars, an image recognized for its connection to vision and the act of seeing. Directly beneath the eye, Nova Scotia forms his nose. There we find Anthony's Nose, Francis Nose Island, the famous Blue Nose schooner, and the historic name Blue Nosers for the people of Nova Scotia. At his midsection lie Mexico and the surrounding Gulf. One long-standing interpretation of the name Mexico is the place at the navel of the moon. And at the foot of the figure lies Patagonia in South America, a region historically associated with the Patagons and the land of the big feet. Did the people who named these places understand the complete image? No. But the Creator did. God knew the languages that would be spoken. He knew the names that would be given. He knew which names would survive. And he knew when this image would be discovered, or when he would choose to reveal it. The image, the names, the history, and the geography do not remove the...
That's all I can take, but you watch this and you can have one of two reactions. It can be like, dude, are you serious? But my reaction is to be encouraged, because this and these are the links that the Christians now have to go to. Late Night in the Heartland's been around too long. When I started this work, over 70%, according to the Gallup poll 13 years ago, of Americans self-identified as Christians. Today, it's slightly less than 50%. Now, did I do all that? No, I'm not arrogant enough to claim that. But I'm also not stupid enough to say that I didn't have some effect on that. And like Kylie, I found it to be hilarious. But the bigger thing is that people are actually reduced to believing this nonsense. They're actually reduced to these absurdities because they can't prove anymore that Jesus was real without the Bible. And they can't find any reason to believe in what they believe without going pareidolia on us. And he is special. I really don't like that guy. I think he's, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But come on, guys. Come on, guys, right? Come on. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So let's get into Eyes Wide Sunday. Let's get into Eyes Wide Sunday. We know about Eyes Wide Shut. Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Stanley Kubrick. We know about that one. But I'm here to help you connect dots that perhaps you've not connected before. So let's go ahead and dive into this. Let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's go ahead and stop sharing the screen. And let's just talk about this a little bit. Let's just talk together as people. Let's just dive into things that they don't want us to think about. And Jesus is a mythical literary figure for sure. But you remember Eyes Wide Shut. We're all pretty familiar with that. And there's two very striking scenes to me, at least two. And it's not the ones where people are naked, even though that plays into it. But in one of these scenes, the central couple of the movie, Cruise and Kidman, who were really a couple at that time, allegedly, the first scene that really caught my eye is that they left their kid alone with a babysitter. And Tom Cruise doesn't even know the name of the babysitter. Nicole Kidman's not sure herself, but they go off to this weird party and they leave their child alone with that babysitter whose name they don't even know. And then later on in the film, they're in a toy store and these two creepy old dudes, old men, just casually take their daughter with them and lead her away. And Kidman and Cruise just kind of casually stroll away as a pair of strange men lead their daughter away in the toy store. Now, we all correctly identify these scenes as weird, as creepy, and as unsettling, but we see it there in the film, man. We see it in the film. But I want to ask you tonight, are you blind to a strikingly similar scene that happens in much more familiar situations 2-3 times every single week? And are you blind to a scene that we accept as normal, nice, acceptable? Can I suggest to you that every day you send your kids off to Eyes Wide school days? Every single day, parents ship their kids off on buses or drop them off at schools. And they spend the majority of their lives with people we don't even know in environments that have been proven to be predatory, predator rich. And do you know about the origin of the public school system in the United States? It's crazy, this story. And you're dropping them off. You're dropping them off. The American school system developed through an alliance of reformers, politicians, Protestant moralists, big money industrial interests, and then these people called philanthropists. Their motives differed, but they shared one underlying conviction. This was a conviction, and you heard Hillary Clinton talk about this. Children are too important to society to be left entirely under the intellectual and moral authority of their parents. That's a provocative foundation right there. Why is the government and religions trying to convince us that we're not up to the job to raise our own children? This is at the bedrock of the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control matrix, in my opinion. Now, colonial America had town schools, it had some church schools, it had tutors, it had home education. And one of the most provocative statements I make, and I know some of you get upset, Jeff, you don't understand my situation. You don't understand how serious your situation is, I would submit. If you're sending your kids to public school today, you're a bad parent. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. You've got to find a way to stop that. Because during the 19th century, what was introduced to the United States was a tax-supported, professionally administered, mandatory school system. And they mandated that you place your children into this institutional environment. Horace Mann was the guy who's the symbol of this. He passed the first statewide mandatory, you got to take your kids to school in 1852 in the state of Massachusetts. And his stated purposes were crime prevention, economic productivity, we got to make some good workers, political stability, and the formation of Republican citizens. They're using your kids to create the world that we hate, and you're helping them. Horace Mann said that education is the machinery. Think about that. It's the machinery through which the raw material of human nature is transformed into productive members of society. This is what your public school system is built on. Mann said in what was called his 12th annual report that we can no longer understand children as merely members of a family. They have to be understood as raw material belonging to the nation. Now, they said this was non-sectarian, but the King James Bible was read and the moral teachings were exclusively Protestant. It was so bad that the Catholics started their own school system. Some of you are products of that school system. And it's probably better than the public school system, but it's like from the frying pan to the fire. So they took this from Russia, and we've got to understand what's going on. This architect of probably the most powerful institution in the United States and other Western nations today considers your children raw materials. And you're doing the same thing that Nicole Kidman did, and you criticize her for it. You're doing the same thing that Tom Cruise did, and you're criticizing him for it. But the state and its designated experts, you are allowing them to decide what kind of a person your child's going to become. And I'm here tonight in part to ask you, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you sending your kids off? You hate Eyes Wide Shut. You can see that. But why are you sending your kids off every day to Eyes Wide School Days? But wait, there's more. Because that also came to my mind, Eyes Wide Sundays. Eyes Wide Sundays. Wow. Remove the children from the influence of their families, their ethnic communities, their local traditions, so that the state can manufacture this standardized citizen. Now, this allows the state to decide what history children learn and remember. This allows the state to decide which religious ideas are normal. This allows the state to decide for you and your children what is legitimate knowledge. Clocks, schedules, ranks, authority. They need to socialize. Take your kids to the park. Take your kids to the mall. Take your kids to Costco. Let them play with other kids. You don't have to send them to Eyes Wide School Days or Eyes Wide Sundays. But the school, both the weekday version and the Sunday school version, they don't just transmit information. They're manufacturing the psychological operations of the American citizens. I want to ask you, is that okay? And we see this theme of Protestantism being disguised as non-sectarian. It's not non-sectarian. It is sectarian as it gets. It's Protestant. It's Christian nationalism. You send your kids to private school, they read King James, they sing Protestant hymns, they learn Protestant morality, and they absorb a national story that says America was founded as a Christian nation, which is demonstrably not true. Even the Catholics figured it out. They started their own parochial school system. And they were so upset that there was actually something called the nativist riots, which was a big riot in Philly because they weren't going to allow their kids to be sent to public schools. Good for the Catholics. Good for the Catholics. But what about Eyes Wide Sunday? What about Eyes Wide Sunday? Kylie Dugan is not rich. But Kylie Dugan's son has not been to public schools since 2020. Thank you for stepping up, Kylie. You are a great mother. And remember, they've made school attendance compulsory. And once the state can compel attendance, they have claimed jurisdiction over your child's childhood. You don't raise your kids anymore if you're sending them out to public school. The government raises your kids. So the question becomes, was compulsory schooling intended to ensure that no child escaped standard social formation? Wow. Think about school and think about creating a worker. They're preparing them for Amazon. They're preparing them for Apple. Bells divide their time, just like at work. They get graded, just like at work. They get told where they can go and what they can do. I had to recently leave a job because I was the number one salesperson there. But they told me, Jeff, you're spending too much time going to the bathroom. And I said, goodbye. Goodbye. Your work is standardized. Your performance is measured. You get rewards and punishments based upon your ability to comply and regurgitate the right answers. They train you to arrive on time and stay where you're told. And Mann admits openly, the guy who crafted the public school system, that he based it on monasteries, military organizations, and churches. And you're going along with it. Oh, but Jeff, philanthropists were helping. Well, yes, John D. Rockefeller's General Education Board, established in 1902, gave a bunch of money to a small group of people that leveraged that money. Great Pink Floyd quote there. That leveraged that money to guys like Frederick T. Gates. And he wrote, in our dream, the parents yield their children with perfect docility to our molding hand. If you send your kid to school tomorrow, you're a bad parent. I can't say it any more plainly. It is Judeo-Christian money which determines what is called good education. Let me share this little chart with you because I think it'll help you conceptualize this just a little bit. Let me share it full screen for you. You see, it's industrial wealth. It's the Bill Gates, it's the Rockefellers that give to these private foundations, that give researches and grants, that pay the teachers, that pay the universities that crank out the teachers. And these are the people that are creating the public policy that governs the life of your children. All we are is just another brick in the wall. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. Folks, I'm not trying to make you mad. Well, maybe a little bit. I'm trying to get you to see some things that you may not see without me. You may not see it without me. And I know what I'm talking about because my first job working for Jimmy Swaggart was running bus ministries. Bus ministries. We would go out to neighborhoods, usually the poor neighborhoods, and we would get these parents to let their kid get on a bus. We'd take the kids for 3 or 4 hours, take them to children's church, and think, why is there children's church? Even in church, just like in Eyes Wide Shut, on Eyes Wide Sunday, they're separating your kids from you for Sunday school. They're separating your kids from you for children's church. You know it's a predator-rich environment, and you're still sending them on Eyes Wide school days, and you're still sending them on Eyes Wide Sundays. But believe it or not, it actually gets worse. It actually gets worse. Jeff, how could it possibly get worse? Well, let me share with you how it can, excuse me, get worse. Because there's this thing right now that the church is working on. Let me get it to come up here. There's a thing right now, you need to see this, that the church is working on, and it's called passive conversion. If you're still happy to be a Christian after this, I don't know if I can help you anymore. I really don't know if I can help you anymore. Because if you can look at this and see this and understand this and still go to these indoctrination centers, whether it's Eyes Wide school days or Eyes Wide Sundays, then you're beyond my ability to help, and it's time for me to move on to somebody else. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me show you, let me tell you, let me share with you what I'm talking about. It's important for us to understand something. The church right now, the church that I was up in the Assemblies of God, and every big church is working right now on using technology to passively convert people. And I first got this idea from that TV show, Evil, that we're watching. Do you know that the biggest thing right now in church growth is called AI-driven evangelism? Churches right now, missionary organizations right now, are increasingly employing AI chatbots, digital avatars, and using data scraping algorithms to answer people's spiritual questions and to introduce people to Christianity. And their stated goal is to make evangelism more accessible. That's what they're saying. But what is the reality? And I went right to where I started. This is where I got my first licensure, through the Assemblies of God. Watch this. This is from the Assemblies of God's website, assembliesofgod.org. And this is all about utilizing AI for ministry. And they've even created a name for it. It's called Network 211. They're taking what they call a proactive technological approach to ministering using AI. I'm going to copy this and paste it into my browser. And I'll probably have to go to another window and share the other window. But I want you to see this, because it's not just something I'm making up. This is reality, folks. This is reality. This is happening right now in your world. I want you to look at this, and I want you to understand this. I want you to get an idea of what's going on. Network 211, which equals a 4, like the Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom, Charlie Kirk said. Daddy's home. The Assemblies of God, my old church, has developed a digital avatar to answer questions. Yes, they speak in tongues. The gospel is eternal, but the delivery system must evolve, said Daniel Hungerford, the founder of a little thing called everfriends.ai. Now, the Bible only speaks in English, but our AI bot can speak in any language. Now, there are some people like Kevin R. Smith, pastor of Northland Cathedral, which is here in the Kansas City area, and he's very, very happy that they have this virtual companion. But he also says we shouldn't develop an overdependence on AI. This is a major opportunity for the Assemblies of God, they say. AI is good at assessing someone's emotions and patterns of behavior. They're data scraping you. And wait till I show you. We stand at a turning point in history, they say. We're going to start using AI. Can you imagine that? And this is run by Assemblies of God World Missionaries. You know, sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction. And the thing that's even stranger is that you guys are buying this. And you're acting as if it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Now it gets really, really creepy. I want to show you this. It gets really, really creepy. Because there is solid evidence, and I'm going to show you the proof. You know I bring the receipts. I'm going to show you the proof that your church, if there's more than 100 people in it, it's almost certain. I'm going house MD here for you. We're talking about passive conversion. Your churches are using Palantir level facial recognition, attendance monitoring, and data scraping profiling. They know where you are, and they're not telling you about it. Amun says, are different AIs just portals or channels to different demons or aliens? The rods say no. And surprisingly, I agree with that. But the churches are using Palantir level data scraping, and they're not telling you about it. When you walk through the door of your church, and I'm going out Sunday, I'm making a commitment, Cynthia. I'm going to go out Sunday, and I'm going to show people this information in church parking lots or on the sidewalk as close as I can get, and ask them what they think about it. Hopefully, Cynthia will go and video it for me. But the churches are secretly using facial recognition when you walk through the door. And then they're employing marketers that are harvesting your information so they can target you. The broader industry has also identified people attending particular churches without their informed consent. This is important. I have to show it to you. Facial recognition, closed circuit TV cameras, internet protocol cameras, recording you as you walk in, scanning your photographs, storing them, maintaining watch lists. Church itself, this company said, there's over 30,000 churches, and this was in 2015, 11 years ago. There was over 30,000 churches already using this technology. What are they doing today? And this guy even said, who runs this company, I don't think the churches tell people. We encourage them to do so, but I don't think they do. And this website called Jezebel did a study. I was going to pull this up, but for time I won't. I've left the URL there for you. You can look it up yourself. You're secretly being tracked with facial recognition in church. You're secretly being tracked with facial recognition even in church. Boy, I'm going to get some pastors mad at me. Because even if these people blow me off, I guarantee you they'll ask their pastor, are we using facial recognition in the church? And then watch the feathers start to fly. Then watch the feathers start to fly. This was reported in the Washington Post. This was recorded on Vice. Don't skip church, because the facial recognition software will track you if you don't show up. And if you do, churches are using facial recognition to track members. I thought it was just Jesus that sees you when you're sleeping. I thought it was just Jesus that knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's going to find out who's naughty and nice. And if he was omnipotent and they really served an omnipotent and omniscient, all-knowing God, then why would they need Big Brother? You know, I talk about, made fun of Elf on the Shelf. We got Jesus on the shelf. Cycling said it's not very Christian, but the actual reality is it's exactly Christian. They're secretly using facial recognition. And you don't even have to take a picture for the church directory. They grab it when you walk in the door. They're doing the same thing with your children. And they're not disclosing it to you. It's not just anonymous crowd counting. This software has the ability to identify you, to scrape your social media, and trigger follow-up contact. Wow. Another one's called Gloo, Gloo, serving tens of thousands of churches and ministries. And who are they targeting? People that are depressed or have anxiety, people that are in financial trouble, people that are having marital problems, people that have grief, addictions, people that are suffering from distress. West Side Family Church, right here in the greater Kansas City area, right here in the Heartland, was specifically busted for using this glue-powered targeting. The Wall Street Journal did an investigation and even produced a report detailing it. Let me show you this so you can look this up for yourself. I'm not going to spoon feed you everything. If you want to bury your head in the sand and la, 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 go ahead. But if you want to know that I'm telling the truth, you can go to this report. It's right on the screen. They're doing it to you right now in church. You hate the flock cameras, but you love the Jesus cam. You hate Palantir, but you love Galilean cam. What's wrong with you folks? Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. They're doing this to you right now. These companies acknowledge they're receiving information from churches. They are selling your personal information to outside vendors. And they're not even bothering to tell you about it. Sensitive information, your religion, your health, your family, your finances. And Glue itself disclosed that this documentation is in their pipeline. This is called data brokerage. This is called behavioral profiling. This is called targeted advertising. Literal web scraping being performed by your churches. And you don't have any problem with it. Even the FTC has found that your churches are geofencing you, identifying mobile advertising IDs present at a particular location. In other words, if you walk in with your phone, they even have access to your phone. They're creating this thing called MAIDs, which are mobile advertising identifiers. And they can be connected right back to you as an individual. This is happening in your churches. Oh, Jeff, I'm sure it's just a little problem. Is 17 billion a little problem to you? Because that's how many location signals just churches have accessed by performing approximately 1 billion searches daily. They're selling you information without informing you. They're tracking you, not just in church. They're tracking you wherever you go. That's in the FTC's official gravy, just like gravy on chicken. I got my keto gravy. I put it on my chicken. It's called the FTC's official gravy analytics case document. FTC official gravy analytics case documents. Let me show you that so you can look it up. This is real world stuff. This is Eyes Wide Sunday. There it is. The FTC's official gravy analytics case documents. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. 17 billion signals, 1 billion devices. This is real. Forget about Eyes Wide Shut, Eyes Wide Sundays. The modern church possesses 3 overlapping surveillance layers: its own membership records, biometric attendance collected by cameras, and geolocation of where you are. All while the person in the pew is never told about any of this. And this is real, and you don't have to stretch the evidence. It's actually happening in your churches. But the most chilling element is that they're merging the facial identification, they're merging your attendance, they're merging your locations, they're merging your emotional profiling, they're data scraping your information, and they're calling it pastoral concern. Boy, if the church did have a problem with, let's say, abuse of minors, boy, this would really give some helpful data to them. The church is watching you. The church is watching you. But even more frighteningly, you are being studied by the churches. All of this information is being collated, it's being tabulated, and here's the end game. This is the truly terrifying part. This is the truly terrifying part. What they're building, I saw it on a TV show, and I found out it was real. They're building brain-computer interfaces with the goal of influencing religious belief. They're developing right now, and we know if they're developing it now, quote unquote, it's already there. They know how to send subliminal messaging embedded in digital media. They're using AI companions to steer you towards particular belief systems. They're creating virtual reality experiences to mimic mystical experiences. You should be pissed cycling. And beyond asking whether this technology directly converts people, we really should be asking whether these digital systems are really being designed to reshape our attention, our identity, our habits. They are actually creating a way to passively convert you because they're losing. This should give you, I would hope, some ideas about Christian nationalism. I know you're afraid of Sharia law. That would be bad. I know you're afraid of the Noahide laws, even though they're in the 10 Commandments, all of them. But they're working towards being able to convert you passively. They're scared. They're terrified of me. They're terrified of us because we're winning. They can't convert sufficient people now the old-fashioned way. It was a lot easier when they said convert or die. But House MD, Master Divinity, me, I'm on their trail. I'm on their trail. And the message is, we're winning. We are winning. So be of good cheer. Be of good cheer. And by the way, the phone lines have been open this whole time. Sorry about that. Let me put the phones are open sign up here. Open minds, open lines. That's what I'm all about. They're definitely at least 5 years ahead of what they say they're ahead, where they are. But let's talk about the elevator game. I'd never even heard about the elevator game. Had no idea what the elevator game was. But we saw it on this TV show. And evidently, it's one of the internet's most successful occult legends, like Slender Man. But what it's doing is very subtle and I think very sinister. It's combining ritual, liminal space, which is like that was what our groves were. That was what our temples were. And this is just the beginning. You're right. And the promise of hidden knowledge. I guess it started in Japan, South Korea, late 2000s, blew up through creepypasta, YouTube, and Reddit. But the thing that makes it fascinating to me is not because it necessarily produces anything supernatural, but I'm going to go try it next time I get in an elevator that has at least 13 floors. But it's mirroring patterns that appeared in our great heathen mystery traditions, in our great heathen folklore, and initiatory rites for thousands of years. They're copying us again. They're copying us again. Because what they're trying to do now is they're trying to use the elevator as an access between worlds. In most of our heathen traditions, there's this idea of accessing different worlds, a symbolic path that lets us connect to different layers of reality. The Norse world, the tree, Yggdrasil, shamanic journeys through upper and lower worlds. And really, the elevator, when you think about it, it's a mechanical version of this symbolism. You don't climb a tower anymore. You don't climb a mountain anymore. You don't descend into a cave, but you move vertically through a technological tower, don't you? Liminal spaces were what our people used to, use and connect and understand as doorways between worlds, bridges, crossroads, staircases, hallways. And when you think about it, the elevator is kind of the ultimate modern liminal space. You're temporarily suspended between destinations. You're enclosed in this little small chamber, and you're really kind of in nowhere land, aren't you? Paranormal researchers have documented some really crazy stuff happening within this elevator game. And it's very based on numbers. I forget the exact thing right now, but you got to push like the second floor, but you don't get out. Then you push the fourth floor, but you don't get out. Then you press 13 if they have it, or the 1 and the 2 and the alarm bell simultaneously. But it's mimicking ceremonial magic without the K, good magic. Sequences that really aren't about the numbers, but they focus your attention. They introduce a ritual mindset. They create a feeling that ordinary reality has kind of been suspended for a minute. And the elevator game borrows this structure. It really functions almost like a magical working. And in all of these, there's this mysterious woman. You're not supposed to talk to her. But throughout the heathen world, we had people like Persephone, Hecate, the Morrigan, fairy queens, the white lady. In the elevator game, they copy these great heathen archetypes, but they make them bad. It's more about making women bad again. Don't speak to her. Don't acknowledge her. Don't follow her. They're mirroring our older folk traditions. Because, again, they know they're losing. They know they're losing. They're copying the Irish otherworld. They're copying the fairy realms. Because they're losing. It's scary. It's weird. But whether you view it as just simple folklore, psychology, or something more mysterious, it's remarkably similar to our ancient heathen patterns. And I can look at this two ways. It is a effort by people to reach back for the old ways, or it's an effort by the people that are losing to leverage our old ways, to replace our sacred mountains. And the elevator becomes the ritual ascent, either suggesting that people are calling back to ancient folklore, or that the people that are losing are trying to adapt and invert our timeless archetypes. Like Deborah says, an inverse in their technology of this modern world. AU, I hope we don't believe it when they diagnose us with ADHD. You know what they used to call that when I grew up? A kid who needs an ass whipping. Now, I know there's extreme cases, but generally speaking, if your kid doesn't want to go along with the program, if your kid says, hey, teacher, leave us kids alone, get that kid on some ADHD medicine. You got to wake up. You got to wake up. Because they're coming for our children. You got to take your control back. But you see, in our great esoteric traditions, we were trying to shift our consciousness towards awakening. Now they're trying to hijack it. Now they're trying to hijack it. Now, this doesn't mean that real paranormal events are occurring with every elevator game. But either people are, number one, in the optimistic view, reaching back for the old ritual ways of our people, or in the not so optimistic interpretation, they're trying to leverage and invert. No more caves, no more mountains, no more bridges, no more rivers, gates, stairways, no more forests. Lyman says they're using ancestral wisdom stolen and then rewritten to curse us by convincing us that we owe a blood debt, which is stacked with usury. That's a brilliant, brilliant statement. But I want to call your attention to the crossroads. I want to call your attention to the crossroads as we start winding down and heading for home here. I want to call your attention to the crossroads. And this becomes very, very fascinating to me in context of our discussion tonight. Because when you think about the crossroads, do you understand what the crossroads were? The crossroads is where people would to go and meet with otherworldly figures and usually create some type of a deal. Well, let me tell you about something I thought of. What is Jesus all about? The cross. At the cross, where I first saw the light, and the burdens of my soul rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I am happy all the day because I became a living sacrifice, because it's no longer I that live, but Christ lives within me, because I take every thought captive in obedience to Jesus. But what about this idea? To me, there's a fascinating wrinkle. And the Jesus stories not only resemble the deals at the crossroads, but they deliberately invert it. In folklore, a crossroads is more than just two roads that happen to cross each other. It's another liminal zone. It's a place that belongs to neither direction. The traveler has left one road but hasn't committed yet to another road. Consequently, the crossroads in heathen lore became associated with encounters with supernatural beings, choices that permanently change your destiny, exchanges of ordinary life for extraordinary power, and even communications between the living and the dead. Could Jesus be a crossroads deal maker? He asked for sacrifice. He asked for initiation. He promises transformation. You have to surrender something valuable. Your soul, your thetan, I call it. But yet, today, when you think of a crossroad, you think about it's the devil at the crossroads. Well, maybe it is the devil at the crossroads. Jesus repeatedly places people at the crossroads, at the cross, at the cross, in precisely this type of an existential intersection. And what does Jesus say? Follow me. Follow me. You have to leave everything behind and enter this uncertain new existence. These are threshold encounters, just like in Revelation 3:20, where Jesus said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If you invite me in like you would have to invite in Dracula, me and my daddy will come into you and live there. That's possession by two entities. Jesus basically says your old road ends here. Choose whether you'll take mine. That is the exact psychological equivalent of a crossroads figure. He interrupts your ordinary path and presents another path whose destination you don't even know what it is. Jesus says there's a broad road leading to destruction, a narrow road leading to life, and Jesus is the crossroads. Wow. This is bargain language. Jesus is offering you a deal just like the crossroads entities offer you a deal. Lose your life and you'll find it. Leave your possessions and get treasure in the sweet by and by up in the sky after you die. Don't worry about what's going on down here on the ground while you're still around. Sacrifice yourself to me now. Become a living sacrifice, which is your reasonable service, Paul told us. And if you deny him, he'll deny you. The Jeebus Crossroad deal. You're right on. You don't think it's a deal? Have you ever read Matthew 16, verse 17? Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? And what will a man give in exchange for his soul? I'm going to show you that verse, Matthew 16 and 17. Matthew 16 and 17. Let me go to Bible Hub, pull it up so I can show you this. And tell me, after you see this Bible scripture, that Jesus isn't offering crossroads deals. Matthew 16, 17. Here's how you do it. I'm going to show you how to do what I do. You can be me, baby. So we're in Genesis. It's Bible Hub. Don't own it. Not an affiliate. Don't tell them I'm using it or they'll kick me off. We go to Matthew. We go to chapter 16. We go to King James because everybody loves a bisexual king. We go to verse 17. That's not the right one. Okay. So let's say this happens. You forget the verse. But you remember the words. What shall a man give in exchange for his own soul? It was 16:26. You see that? Just go there. This will drop you into a more literal translation. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? What can a man give in exchange for his soul? What does the word exchange mean? Click on it. It takes you to the Greek. What can a man give in exchange for his soul? In equivalence for his soul? In compensation for his soul? What do you want to get paid for your soul? It's a ransom. This is called a deal with the devil, unless it's a deal with Jesus. Is this where they get the term, better the devil you know than the one you don't, but you don't even really know that devil Jesus? That's the Bible. That's the original languages. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Jesus offers you a deal just as surely, just as certainly as any crossroad demon has ever done. And you've never, ever seen it until tonight. This is what I do. This is what I've been doing for 13 years. And if you can help me, I can use it. I want to show you a little chart here. Makes it very plain for you. Watch this. Am I blowing your mind tonight? I think I probably am. Check this out. Check this out. Is Jesus a crossroads demon? Well, look at the symmetry. That means it's the same. The crossroads devil says gain the world. Jesus says renounce the world. The crossroad devil wants to give you something good while you're still around down here on the ground. Jesus says deny yourself. The crossroads devil says, get immediate power. Jesus says, well, you have to get a power in the future. The crossroads devil says, surrender your soul. Jesus says, surrender your soul. The crossroads devil usually requires some blood sacrifice. Well, so does Jesus. The deal ends in death with the crossroads devil, but you get paid before you die. Jesus promises you a cheeseburger tomorrow, a cheeseburger today, if you will pay him tomorrow. You're still going to die, but he promises you a cheeseburger tomorrow. Cycling Machine says, mind blown. ×2. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Jesus can therefore be read as the inverted crossroads dealer. Or is he a rival dealer offering a competing contract for the same human soul? Wow. Wow. You know what he says? He says, trust me, bro. Trust the plan. Are you still willing to trust that plan? And the cross itself is a crossroads. The cross itself is a crossroads. And Jesus was nailed right in the middle of that baby. Where was Jesus nailed? On the crossroads. So Jesus doesn't merely visit the crossroads. He doesn't just show up at the crossroads. He is the crossroads. And what does he say? Take up your cross and follow me. Wow. How do I do it? And do you know that's one of the very few verses that is included in all 4 Gospels? So your decision to become a Christian has a price, it has a promise, and it has a payoff. Wow. Wow. And the thing I find kind of weird is that Jesus rejected a crossroads deal. Remember when he was in the wilderness and the devil said, hey, I know you're hungry. I'll give you some bread. You can jump off this temple. I'll protect you. If you'll just acknowledge me, you can own the whole world. That's a classic crossroads demon bargain. Jesus said no to that one. But then he turns around. Cycling Machine says it makes a lot of sense because it does. After refusing Satan's deal, Jesus begins offering humanity a better deal. Jesus is just another crossroad dealer. And then when you start learning that Lucifer, bright and morning star, applies to both Jesus and the so-called devil, Jesus says, follow me, surrender your life, and receive a reward later. Whether it's a crossroad demon or it's Jesus himself, the offers are nearly identical. The architecture's the same. You get a reward for participation in a particular kingdom structure. But at least the demon pays you now. Jesus, and we know what his ethnicity was, there's no doubt about that. He says, trust me, I'll pay you later. So does this Jesus tempted in the devil on top of the temple, does it establish Jesus's credentials as the new crossroad dealer? Wow. And remember, both of these contracts, whether it's from the crossroad demon or the crossroad Jesus, they're both sealed by blood. And Jesus said, this cup is a new covenant in my blood. The Eucharist, the communion, repeatedly renews your participation in this deal. Wow. Wow. On the cross, Jesus was the crossroad dealer. He was suspended between heaven and earth, between Rome and Jerusalem, between mortality and divinity, between two condemned men. And remember, he was a condemned criminal. You know that Christianity is the only religion in the world that worships a person who was a condemned criminal? And even the two criminals show you two roads, a crossroad. One gives in, says, remember me. The other one denies him. Then Jesus supposedly descends into death and returns. Exactly like the crossroad demons. They're all dead and have returned. Jesus knows the road into the realm of the dead. And according to Christianity, he's the only one that has the authority to lead you out. It's the same deal, just a different dealer. I would suggest that you don't play their game. And perhaps the deepest meaning is that Christianity just doesn't just steal the crossroads. He inverts it and reinvents it. We all are smart enough to fear a crossroad demon. We're not going to let a demon say, hey, do this for me, invite me in, and me and my dad will come possess you, live in you. We're not going to take that deal. But Jesus says, trust me, it's okay. The demon becomes a savior, but they do the same thing. Do you want to be possessed by not one entity, Jesus, but two entities, Jesus and his Father? And what is in our mind a hellish thing becomes a holy thing. Thank you, Philip. The surrender of your soul that all heathens know becomes the recovery of your soul. It's a Ponzi scheme, says Lyman, to trick you into being a suffering servant. The blood signature isn't you giving everything away. Now it's you receiving the new covenant. The old tricksters would at least give you some power. But Jesus says, trust me. I'll give it to you later. You give me everything now. I'll give you a gift later. The crossroads becomes the cross. And the cross is a crossroads, isn't it? I thought I was going to get through a show without drawing this, but what's a crossroads look like? It's where two roads cross, right? What's a cross look like? Where two roads cross. Tell me again that Jesus isn't a crossroads entity. Why have you never seen that? This is just what I do. This is just what I do. This is just what I do. Lyman, another home run. You create the disease, then offer the solution. He gives you the sin. You don't have original sin. You got the spark of the divine within. But Jesus gives you the sin, and he says, come to me, I'll save you from the sin I gave you. Wow. The crossroads is the cross, is the crossroads. Let me show you this as we go out. Let me show you this as we go out. I'm going to give you a second to get your brain back in working order. I know it's a bunch. You're bought with a price, remember. Look at this. Under this reading, Jesus is the ultimate Lord of the crossroads. He's a being that's encountered where roads and worlds and identities intersect. His bargain is just as cut and dried as the original crossroad entity's bargain. He doesn't ask for anything incidental. He doesn't ask for something little. He asks for everything you got. Your immortal, eternal Thetan. I use Thetan because Jay Mars says it's a double cross. Boom, it really is, isn't it? It's a double cross. Jessica says, wow. The Bible shows a triple cross at the crucifixion. Yes, it does. It is a great topic. Thank you. Deny yourself. Die to you. It's no longer I that live, but Christ that lives within me. Present yourself as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto Jesus, which is your reasonable service. Take every thought captive to obedience to Jesus. Take up your cross. Follow me. Become a living sacrifice. This is why it's so freaking powerful. Because both the devilish crossroad dealer and the gospel Jesus make the same demand. Give me your allegiance, and I'll give you something unavailable to you on the road you're presently traveling. And the real question is, which dealer can be trusted? Actually, the real question is, as the thunder rolls, why trust a dealer at all? Why trust a dealer at all? I don't know why you would. I don't know why you would. There's not much more I can say. There's not much more I can do. The mail has been delivered. Are you going to read it? And what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? My voice is cracking. It's time for me to get out of here. This has been Late Night in the Heartland. We're back, baby. We're back. And we're arguably better than ever. We're just getting started. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. This has been Late Night in the Heartland. We're going to do it all again come Sunday. Same time, same channels. I know this was deep and we didn't get any calls tonight. I get it. But I'm here to bring you open lines, I'm here and hope to open some minds. That's all I got. I do salute you for being here. What if you don't have original sin? What if you got the spark of divinity within? What if you don't have original sin, but you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free? What if you don't have to go on bended knee to somebody else's Savior that promises to save you from the sin He gave you? What if you're one of the last generation of real humans? And if you're listening tonight, you probably are. This is why I say this world's going to be better than it's ever been. Sooner than we can imagine. Because we're realizing who we are. I love you. I appreciate you. I invite you to think about these things. Tell a friend. I'll see you again on Sunday. Take care, my friends.